And for more on the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa State, Imo and Kogi, I'm being joined by the program manager, Yiaga Africa, Paul James. Good to have you on the news at this time. So first off, let's begin with your reactions to the concerns now on the confirmation by the Senate of some political appointees as the resident electoral commissioners who are said to have political affiliations. Do you see this affecting or complicating the credibility issues of INEC? What are your thoughts on this?
So, of course, I think for every follow-up of our election, you agree that these were the concerns that were raised by stakeholders, especially before the 2023 election, when the then President Buhari, submitted names to the National Assembly for confirmation. We raised concerns as of then about some appointment, especially one of the candidates that was one of the persons that had contested the election in 2015 under the APC in Sokoto State. Now, as if that is not enough, to rub salt to injury, like people will say, or to insult us more, we see what this administration has further done. Even after CSOs, other stakeholders have raised concerns about some person that we thought already had political affiliation, the National Assembly went ahead to do those confirmations without even recourse to entertaining some of the complaints that had come from, especially the CSO cycle. So these are worrying signs, especially for an election that has suffered so much of credibility issues, coming from an election that a lot of persons were disillusioned as to the manner in which the commission had managed the election. So to have this kind of persons with questionable characters that are now filling up the space as Mr. Electoral Commissioners, I think for me, it's a big concern for our election going forward.
And as much as it is a concern, we also know that the preliminary report of many domestic and rather international observers group noted that this year's elections failed to meet expectations with reports of violence, widespread delays, snatching of beavers and all of that. But what do you think, or rather, what are your expectations for this off-cycle elections, and what do you think INEC needs to do to put its house in order and ensure the elections are credible this time around?
I think the points that have been made so far is very clear about what people expect from the commission. One is that the commission should improve on its public engagement and
welcome back. You're still on to TVC News, and we're still discussing political matters. And I still have online Paul James of Yiaga Africa, the program manager. Still good to have you on the news. So yes, we're discussing on your expectations of INEC and what you think can be done, especially for this off-cycle election, given the 2023 elections seemed to have not met the expectations of Nigerians. So what do you hope to see differently in this off-cycle elections and ensuring that it is credible for all to see?
Well, like was saying earlier, I think the biggest challenge from the last election was that to a large extent, the commission was not able to manage expectations. It raised a lot of hopes, but then when the election came, for some person, they thought that the hopes were dashed. And so we wanted to see an improved communication on the part of the commission. And I said we have seen efforts by the commission in the last 3 weeks to engage stakeholders more and more. The commission has been involved in different layers of meetings at different levels with CSOs, with the security and all of that. So we hope that this will continue even to the election or even beyond the election. We have been following what this commission has been doing around the election. We know, for instance, for a fact that it has released the list of the list of voters that have collected their PVCs in the 3 states, and has submitted list of also registered voters and the polling unit to political parties. These are good signs. And then we know that the commission is in communication also with the National Union of Road Transport Workers to ensure a smooth movement of election logistics to the various units. Commission has also mentioned that it has badged non-sensitive materials by the polling unit, that it has, dispatches materials to the 3 states. All that is waiting for now is for the sensitive materials to arrive in the state. So like I said, these are positive signs if the commission will maintain that. The challenge around our election has always been the perennial concerns of election logistics. Now that they said they are in talks with the logistics companies, I mean the National Union of Road Transport Workers, we hope to see an early deployment of these election materials, the sensitive materials, and hopefully that could lead to early commencement. Imo, for instance, have been a state that has suffered late commencement of votes, especially from the last presidential election that happened in the state. But another concern from the states also going into the election is this natural occurrences that happen around at the November election in Kogi and also in Bayelsa. In 2019, we saw how flooding impacted the conduct of election in those states. We hope that Commission will be prepared and will have some crisis sort of communication so that when this happens, they will find a way they can conveniently manage voters and move them to a location that will be safe for them to vote. So we should begin to have those sort of conversation around alternative locations where voters will vote, so that we don't also so that we are not confronted with the kind of challenges that happened in 2019, which to a large extent I thought it was not effectively managed.
All right, and that's a fine place to leave it. Paul James, Program Manager of Yiaga Africa, thank you so much for your insights on the news at 7 this evening.
Thank you very much.